So you've done a little bit of research, heard people talking about a raw diet for dogs, but you're a bit too scared to make the switch. Does it all seem really complicated and expensive to you? Don't worry, by the end of this video, you'll have the 6 simple step-based formula to take their food to the next level. It's not hard and surprisingly nowhere near as expensive as what you would think. Well, change is scary and I know how much you love your dog. Otherwise you'd just be tossing some cheap supermarket store food in a bowl instead of watching this video, right? I'm going to teach you the simple set of guidelines that will help clear up some questions you may have so you can move your dog to a safe, high quality diet. After all, a healthy, happy pet lives longer, has less illness and things like allergies, dental issues, and costly vet visits. So if you're thinking of switching to raw, then I applaud you and I admire that you're doing your research first and not just jumping in. An unbalanced raw diet can do harm, but don't worry about that. If you follow these rules, you won't go wrong. Okay. Firstly, I want to explain the BARF formula to you. It's a simple formula based on the 70-10-10-10 model. 70% meat, 10% offal, 10% bone, and 10% vegetables or fruits. This is the most important thing to remember when creating your own raw meals. So what the heck does BARF actually mean? It's an acronym, biologically appropriate raw, or as I like to say, real food or feeding. You are feeding a biologically appropriate or species appropriate diet. This is exactly what your dog was designed to eat. Before we go any further, it's really important to understand 3 things. The first thing to remember is do not be afraid. We've all been conditioned to believe the marketing spin around complete and balanced. It's not hard to feed a species appropriate diet that is complete and balanced. Second, keep it really simple. You do not need to feed a bowl full of 20 different proteins or ingredients in every meal. Complete and balanced happens over a very much longer period of time. It really is a simple concept. We do it daily with our human diets, and when you apply this, it is really as simple as just mix it up. Third, variety is the key. Mix it up. Rotate your ingredients. Offer a large range of proteins from different animals, and don't feed the same thing day in and day out. So, step 1 is the protein and fat rule. The staple of your dog's meals are meat. They should make up 70% of their diet. You can buy meat from your supermarket or grocery store, butcher or a reputable pet butcher or supplier. I don't need to tell you that. All of your dog's energy requirements come from just these 2 sources, proteins and quality fats. This makes up most of his meals. So it really is as simple as buying mincemeat or ground meat or chunks of meat that you can cut down for your dog and popping them in the bowl. Balance is important here. This means feeding a diet that's about 10 to 20% fat in total, including all fats like fish oil that you need to add to your dog's raw diet. A great way to control the quality of your fat is by adding oils like fish oil, like these ones here, the capsules, hemp seed oil or coconut oil on rotation. Okay, now the second step, step 2, get the calcium and mineral balance right. Calcium rule is 10 to 15% of your adult dog's total diet needs. They need to be bones. Puppies need at least 12% and up to 15% bone matter. Your dog needs a steady supply of minerals and trace minerals. If your dog is missing these minerals, things can go very, very wrong. He can develop crippling joint disease, heart issues, seizures, and more. This might sound frightening, and it is, but it's easy to get this step right simply with bones. So bone is made up of about 65% minerals, including phosphorus, magnesium, and zinc, but most importantly, calcium. Your dog needs a steady supply of these minerals. Meat without any bone at all contains a lot of phosphorus and very little calcium. So if the diet is too low in calcium, you'll often see bone and joint disease, especially in your growing puppies. So to keep your dog's bone content to the 12 to 15% range, you need some of his meat to have the bone incorporated in it. Start with the meaty bones you can find at your butcher or local pet store and offer these to him 2 or 3 times a week. A great inclusion in every sort of second to third meal on a weekly rotational basis is chicken eggs. Love them. There's a lovely little completely digestible vertebrae through every one of them. Okay, step number 3, you need to add organ meats. It's difficult, if not impossible, to get enough vitamins and minerals in a raw diet without organ meats. Enter Mother Nature's multivitamins. And the organ that supplies the most, gram for gram, is actually the liver. About 10% of your dog's diet should be liver. This will supply most of his vitamins, such as vitamins B and C, and many of his minerals, including copper and folate. The main mistake raw feeders make is only adding liver though. There are many other organs you should feed your dog, and your job is to source as many of them as you possibly can. I find Asian butchers are fabulous for this. So there are two categories of organs, the secreting type and then the non-secreting type. Secreting organs are things like liver, pancreas, spleen, kidney, sweetbreads, which are testicles, and eyes. So non-secreting organs are things like lungs, brains, green tripe, this delightful mess here, and things like giblets over here. These are duck giblets. These need to make up the other 5%. Together, the two types of organs make your 10% organ rule. It's interesting to note that heart, which is actually an organ, is actually a muscle meat, high in nutrients that should make up around 5% of their diet. Heart is a major source of taurine, and not all dogs can make enough of this essential amino acid, and so taurine must be included in your dog's raw diet. Taurine deficiency can cause heart disease. There is definitely truth behind the saying that you are what you eat. So you need to feed about 5% of your dog's raw diet as heart in one form or the other. Chicken, this happens to be a pork heart, you can do beef heart. Okay, step number 4, add vegetation. Add your fruits and vegetables to make up 10% of their diet, and choose organic if you can afford it. If you can't, it's okay. Broccoli, kale, and especially broccoli sprouts are a great source of cancer-fighting and anti-inflammatory nutrients. Check out our link below about supergreens. Blueberries have a special affinity for the brain and nervous system, and cranberries add bladder and kidney benefits. Most berries are a great choice. Many raw feeders stop at step 3, and that's a mistake in my opinion. Step 4 is vital. Okay, so research shows that vegetables reduce the risk of cancer in both humans and dogs. This is because fruits and vegetables have important immune benefits. While fruits, berries and vegetables are an important addition to the raw diet, starchy carbohydrates like grains and legumes are not. They feed the wrong types of gut bacteria and are linked to chronic inflammation. You'll also want to avoid high sugar fruits and use low sugar berries instead, like these lovely little dried blueberries. Okay, step 5, the last one, complete the balance. Many raw diets are deficient in 2 key nutrients, vitamin D and manganese, not magnesium, it's different again. To boost the vitamin D content, feed whole raw fish, whole eggs and egg yolks, vitamin D-rich mushrooms, or green-lip mussels. Green-lip mussels also increase manganese levels, as will oysters and pretty much all shellfish. If you follow the first 4 steps, your dog's raw meals will be really quite reasonably balanced. But you want to give your dog a raw diet because you want the ultimate nutrition. This last step will make sure your dog gets enough of the 2 micronutrients that are most likely to be lacking in a lot of raw diets. So here are some great food sources of vitamin D. So mushrooms, cooked. When mushrooms are exposed to sunshine, they can produce vitamin D, just like animals can. Whole eggs, very, very, very nutrient dense. The yolks from pasture-raised hens raised in sunshine and eating a proper diet are rich in vitamin D. You can feed eggs several times a week. So green-lip mussels and other mussel species are rich in vitamin D. Fatty fish like salmon, sardines and mackerel are also rich in vitamin D as well, as is cod liver oil. Insert your fish oil over here. Manganese deficiency is fairly common in raw-fed dogs if you're not careful. So, if your dog is deficient in manganese, it will usually show as weakened ligaments and connective tissue that can cause joint issues such as cruciate tears or luxating patellas. Manganese can also be found in spinach, but it's richest in the green-lip mussels, followed closely by oysters and pretty much all shellfish. Adding mussels to your dog's raw diet will help provide the vitamin D and manganese that he needs. So as the saying goes, 2 birds with 1 stone, or mussel in this case. Well, there you have it. The 5 key elements that you need to create your very own complete and balanced meals at home. Remember the BARF formula, 70% meat, 10% in total of secreting and non-secreting organs, 10% bone and 10% veggies, and you've got it covered. So it's probably easiest to see it in relative portion sizes. Here is a complete meal for my 6-kilo adult boy Amari you met earlier. He eats around 3% of his body weight daily, so this is about 180 grams of food. We've got meat, we've got our bone content in the form of our chicken neck, we've got our organs, both secreting and non-secreting, and some cooked veggies and the super boosting food, seafood supplements that we add on the side, inclusive of some blueberries, mushrooms obviously we've discussed as well, and our heart chicken in this case. Just for reference, just to compare, this is the amount of dry kibble that he should be eating on a daily basis according to Royal Canin. I know which one I prefer. Raw feeding or species appropriate feeding means healthier dogs, saving you a fortune if you just stay on vet visits. So, still on the fence and too scared to try? Don't be. Reach out in the comments below or visit our website for more information. We're here to help you. And if you found today's video helpful, please subscribe to our channel. We love producing this content for you. We'd love to hear any more ideas that you might have for stories or content that you'd like to see. Hello and welcome back. Let's talk about bones. I know this can be a scary topic for a lot of you, but we've got you covered. Keep watching and we will debunk a heap of myths and give you the tools to make the right choices for your dogs. This is where it's really important to understand the different types of bones so you can make informed choices for your dogs. There are 3 main reasons you should feed your dogs bones. First and foremost, calcium. Bones build bones. Calciums and minerals are vital for your dog's skeletal health. Secondly, and I possibly think this is my favourite benefit of bones, is teeth cleaning. Dogs instinctively know how to chew. They chew bones to clean their teeth basically. In the wild, for millennia, dogs have done this to ensure that their teeth are in really good condition and ensure their survival. Thirdly, the fun one, edible bones and recreational bones are just fun to chow down on. So, how do you pick the right bones for your dogs? There are 2 types of bones in your dog's lives. 1, the fully edible bone, and 2, the recreational bone. Both are pretty self-explanatory, I think. So, fully edible bones mean just that. They can eat the entire bone. So if we move from basically the fully edible range through the recreational range through here, frames, these are chicken frames here, are fabulous. These frames are as cheap as anything, they're lovely, there's a bit of meat on them, fully edible, the bones are very soft. Obviously they're raw, everything is raw. Do not ever feed your dog cooked bones. So frames are lovely. There's some chicken wing tips through here. These are really nice little snacks in my house. There's a little bone running through that's nice and soft, gives the teeth a little bit of a clean as well. We've got some chicken necks through here. These are wonderful little snacks. If you've got a smaller dog, 1 chicken neck is fabulous. If you've got larger dogs, multiple chicken necks is a really good option to get some bone matter into their bowls without too much fuss. If you have a dog that is a swallower, like swallows or gulps things whole, don't panic, okay? The best way you can do is teach them how to actually enjoy their bones. So what I like to do, sorry French Bulldog owners here, I'm really sorry about this because I know you're all saying, but I've got a Frenchie and he swallows everything whole. I don't understand why Frenchies have so much problem swallowing things whole, but on saying that, give this a go anyway, you might have success, okay? So what I like to do is hold on to the end, they're like little handles, okay? Hold on to the end of the bone. If you are grossed out by raw meat, don't panic, grab a bit of kitchen towel, some paper towel or whatever, hold on to the end and let your dog have a good chew, like a good gnaw at it. Take them away and go, praise, 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 best doggy ever, it's delicious, yum, 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 give it back and have another chew. This way, they're understanding that these things are chewable. They're not, you don't have to swallow the whole thing whole. On saying that, if you have a dog that actually swallows a chicken neck whole, it's not the end of the world, okay? You're not going to cause a structural obstruction, because the chicken neck vertebrae are very, very small and they break down very quickly in the dog's gut. So you haven't got any bones in there that are going to cause splintering or puncturing or anything like that. Unfortunately, my middle child, Tapita the Dachshund, she sees this as an opportunity to inhale and she will swallow a chicken neck happily whole, which horrifies me because she weighs 5 kilos, but never had a problem. The digestive acidic juices do the job. They break the bones down beautifully. Next on the scale of edible bones are these soup bones or brisket bones. Now, these bones have been cut by the butcher, as you can see. Now, this is a little bit controversial because some of these edges are a little bit sharp. They are soft enough, I can get my fingernail into this one quite comfortably, they're soft enough for the dog's teeth to be able to break down any of those edges, causing no harm to the dog's mouth. These, again, cheap as chips, they're lovely. There's a little bit of meat on them, there's a little bit of fat. Pick your bones if you've got a dog that suffers from pancreatitis or can't handle too much fat. Make sure you just, cherry pick your bones. Ones with not too much fat on them are fabulous. So you can kind of see what they look like here. They're lovely. So these are brisket bones or soup bones. Very quite soft. Now, edible bones are non-weight bearing bones. That's things like tails, necks, the carcass, the ribs and that sort of thing. Kangaroo tails are fantastic as well if you can get a good supplier of kangaroo tails. Beef tails are also fantastic. Now, the next one on the line of edible bones are ribs. These happen to be beef ribs. So my husband's probably I can see he's upset by this. These beef ribs were going to be his dinner tonight, but they're not now. So they've been cut by the butcher. Again, there's a bit of a sharp edge, but they're quite soft, okay? It's a lovely amount of meat on these. So my dogs love these, but rib bones can be slightly problematic because they sometimes can splinter along this way. So what you need to do with these, and obviously what you need to do with all bones, is supervise your dogs. Don't leave them alone, okay? Make sure you just supervise them. Watch what they're doing when they're chewing them. I take these ribs off my dogs when they get all the meat off and have a bit of a go on the ends there, just because I want to mitigate any risk of splintering. Again, it's just this particular cut of bone that will splinter slightly here, but again, it's not that problematic. Now, the next one on the list are these wonderful things. Now, if my dogs had a choice of anything in this selection, this is what they would all go for. This is the vertebrae. As you can see, it bends quite a lot here. This is the vertebrae or the spine from a sheep, okay? So it's got some of the ribs attached, all of the beautiful soft connective tissues in here, which is lovely. It's got all of that wonderful joint goodness. Again, my dogs will always pick these bones out of all of the other ones on the table because, I don't know, they just seem to love them the most. They eat, this entire part disappears all the way along here, and they give all of this a really, really good go. Again, when we get to sort of this kind of length or whatever, take it off your dog, praise the dog when you're taking the bones away from them, and throw them away, mitigating risks. Okay, the next bones on our list are the recreational bones. Now, this monster, this giant dinosaur bone, this is the leg bone, so it's weight bearing. This is the leg bone from a cow, okay? So it's got a little bit of meat on it, but it's just basically predominantly bone. It's really dense, you can hear that. Now, these bones are not edible, okay? These bones are purely for chewing and teeth cleaning. Now, I need to say something here. This is very important. This bone has been cut in half or sawn by the butcher, okay, to expose the marrow. They're called marrow bones, all right? Yum, marrow is incredibly nutrient dense, but it's incredibly high in fat. If you feed your dog a bone like this, they're going to hollow out all the marrow, and you're going to end up with problems with a pancreatic attack, basically. So if you've got a dog that errs on the side of pancreatitis, avoid these at all costs. In fact, I'd avoid this full stop. Definitely. If the bone is full, as in hasn't been sawn in half, it's a fantastic recreational bone for a larger dog, like a German Shepherd or a Golden Retriever or a Mastiff. I wouldn't be giving this to a Chihuahua, a bit too big. For smaller dogs, these are weight-bearing bones as well, recreational bone. Once again, this is the leg bone from a sheep. It's lamb bones. It's got that lovely knuckle on the end. You can see the knuckle there. All of this is edible, okay? There's all that lovely connective tissue again, so you can see there. When the dogs take all the edible loveliness off and have a really good go at this, take these bones away from them, okay? Don't leave them lying out in the yard for them to bleach in the sun and dry out. Then you're going to have problems. You're going to have splinter risks because the bone is very dense. You're going to break their teeth. Now, that's a nice segue to teeth, I think, because there are 42 teeth in your dog's head. So 42 of them. There's the front little peg-like ones, okay? Then there's the long incisor canines, and then along the back, there is, pardon my meaty fingers, along the back there's the slab teeth. They all have different jobs when it comes to your dog's like digestive and ability to be able to consume bones and consume food. So the front teeth are used predominantly with edible bones, so the front little pegs. and the canines, because they rip and tear at the carcasses. So for example, if you've given your dog an entire chicken frame or a rabbit or a turkey frame or something like that, they're going to use their front teeth and their canines to rip and tear. Perfect for cleaning those front teeth. Doesn't do anything for the back. Then we move on to different shaped bones, like the rib bones, for example, which are the longer ones. Dogs will always hold longer bones in their paws like this, and they will chew and they'll use their back teeth. That's a really lovely shape to clean back teeth, okay? So different shapes do different things. The recreational bones, the whole mouth is utilised. Not probably the front little peaks, but most of the canine and slab teeth are definitely used, and they're cleaned. It's beautiful. On rotation, if you're wanting to mix things up a little bit, alternate, which is very, very important when you're raw feeding or feeding a decent, balanced diet, one of the things that I love to give my dogs is shark cartilage. Now, here in Australia, you can get shark cartilage readily available. It's ethically farmed, okay? It's sourced from sharks that are culled for human consumption. So that's what they look like there. These are basically wonderful 100% calcium toothbrushes. They're the best things ever. I love them. Most dogs find that they really enjoy them too. Again, check your sources of these. Make sure that they're responsibly sourced, okay? We don't want to go and kill sharks for, shark cartilage just for our dogs. That's crazy. This is what the shark cartilage looks like when it's in the shark fin. So you get the idea of where it comes from in the fish. Yeah, they're lovely. They're just wonderful teeth cleaning tools. If you can get shark fins like this, as well with the cartilage in the middle, you're getting a double dose of goodness here. The fin, the skin, is like sandpaper, and it's going to do a wonderful job of cleaning your dog's teeth, plus calcium, minerals, all of those wonderful things. Just briefly, I need to touch on this. Yes, I've got my hands all over all of these bones, okay? Hygiene is vitally important. I'm actually touching these just for this footage, okay? I won't be mixing the meats up with my dogs or anything like that. And you need to, obviously use common sense when it comes to handling raw meats and bones. Clean your hands, clean your utensils, use a plastic board if you have to chop anything up. Meat handling, safe food handling is very, very important to mitigate any health issues you might have. Okay, so if you're grossed out by raw meaty bones, or if you have a really problematic swallower, sorry Frenchies, I'm picking on you hardcore today, we do have this wonderful product called Healthy Bones Meal Supplement. This will ensure your animals get all the calcium they need. There's a link below for more information, and a link to another video that we've done about this wonderful product. Are you thinking about switching your dog from dry kibble to a raw diet, wondering how the heck you actually do it without making your dog sick, or worse still, experience a case of what I call punami, explosive diarrhea that means loads of washing and cleaning up, or worse still, a trip to the vet? Okay, stick around. I'll go through the surefire steps to help you transition the safe and guaranteed mess-free way. Well, now you're still watching because you've heard that a raw diet might be a better option than dry kibble. But what are the benefits, and why should you go to the effort to switch? Why is it a better option for your dog than the most expensive, best quality, complete and balanced kibble that you are currently feeding your dog? Look, I get it. Kibble is convenient. That's why it was invented. Let's face it, you open a bag, you pour it into their bowl. It's easy. Surely the products stating that they're complete and balanced are enough for your dog? Well, I'm going to take a pin and pop that marketing hype bubble. The list of reasons to switch are well researched, documented and verified by scientists, holistic vets and animal nutritionists. These studies aren't trying to sell you anything. In fact, most of them are funded by people just like me and you, animal lovers that want answers and the knowledge to make better choices for their animals. They are not the BS that is marketed to us by the big pharmaceutical companies that want to sell you more of their products. And there are worldwide studies underway right now, as you're watching this video, on increased longevity, reduced cancer rates, better dental health. The list is so long, in my opinion, absolutely wonderful. But really, the proof will be right in front of you. Your dog will be healthier, with obvious signs you cannot deny. So what are the signs that your doggo will send you that they are healthier once you've made the switch? First up, their coats will be shinier, thicker, and they'll shed less. Darker colour coats will literally gleam in the sun. Number 2, their teeth will be cleaner. plague-free and not require yearly dental work at the vet. And how much will this save you? Number 3, their breath won't smell. That means more kisses for you. Number 4, they won't have a funky dog smell. Most dogs simply don't smell unless they've been out rolling in something disgusting. Number 5, they will poop less, smaller, firmer poop that doesn't smell really bad. Number 6, a lot of skin allergies simply are fixed with the removal of the highly processed kibble starches. Number 7, it's easier to maintain a healthy weight on your dog. Number 8, your dog will drink less water. A raw diet contains about 75% moisture, whereas a dry food diet contains around 10% moisture, causing them to be in a constant state of dehydration, which in turn puts enormous strain on their kidneys. That also means for you, less potty breaks. Okay, I hear you saying you're in. Let's get down to the safest and easiest way to switch. Switching is something you need to do very slowly and you need to have a little bit of a plan. If your dog is older than say 6 or 7 months of age and has eaten kibble for their entire life, this is the video you need to watch. This video is for adult dogs only. Puppies need to switch a little differently, and I'll do a video on this topic separately. If you don't do it properly, you'll end up with punami, and no one wants that, least of all your doggo. There are a couple of ways to make the transition, but today I'm going to just focus on the way that I have found works well for most dogs. The most important thing to remember here is slow and steady. This process will take you anywhere between 2 weeks to a month, maybe 2 months. Each dog's microbiome is different and each dog will react differently. Age and overall health will make a big difference to the time it will take you. So be patient, slow and steady. Hey, if you've got this far, please like and subscribe our videos. It makes a huge difference and enables us to keep making this content for you. Before I go on, you should understand a little bit about how your dog actually digests their food. One of the main differences between kibble and raw food is the amount of starch or carbohydrates they contain. While most raw foods contain 0 to 15% carbohydrate, with none of it being starch, kibble needs starch to hold it together, those little pellet shapes. In fact, they need to be at least 30% starch for this to happen, and in many kibbles are even up to 60% starch. And if you're feeding a grain-fed kibble, don't be fooled. These foods still need a starch and it will be just in a different form. So instead of rice and corn, they'll contain the same amount of peas or potatoes or beet pulp, for example. Kibble changes the dog's gut pH level. Kibble, or the starch it contains, will increase the pH of the stomach. That means it makes it less acidic and more alkaline. The same would happen if you fed your raw meals with potatoes or other starchy food like rice. An enzyme called pepsin is responsible for breaking the protein in your dog's meal into its individual building blocks, amino acids. When the pH of the gut is increased, meaning it's less acidic, the pathogen bacteria like E. coli and Salmonella are more likely to survive and cause digestive upset or illness in your dog. Remember, the acidic environment in his gut protects the dog against these pathogens. Dogs and other carnivores have evolved to handle their bacteria in raw meats, but if we change the pH in their digestive tract by feeding a food that's not appropriate for them, i.e. starch, some of that protection is lost. In fact, most of it is. So, in a nutshell, we have to change the acidity levels in their gut before we can feed raw without any of those tummy upsets, or God forbid, punami. So, what's the first step? Changing the gut pH level to be more acidic, and it's as simple as adding between 1 teaspoon to 1 tablespoon of apple cider vinegar to every 10 kilos of body weight to their drinking water or to their bowl of kibble. Keep doing this for the first week or 2. The next tip is to add to their kibble is a cooked casserole mix containing lots of vegetables like pumpkin, lots of leafy greens and soluble fibre. Simply cook this veggie mix up with some minced turkey or chicken. Use a white meat as it's easier to digest. And make the mix a 50-50 split. So it's half vegetables and half meat. Cooked casserole. So first step is take out 1/4 of their kibble and replace it with 1/4 of the cooked casserole. Get rid of that. It's about 1/4. Fabulous. After watching your dog carefully to make sure there isn't any upset, or after a couple of days, you can offer your dog a couple of raw pieces of boneless white meat. Something like chicken, turkey or rabbit is ideal, and only use a very small amount. Treat them as treats. So there we go, there's about 1/4 in there. Fabulous. Now, at this stage, it's really important to watch and check for any signs of that dreaded poonami. Slightly softer poops are normal now, but the insoluble fibre in the veggie mix should hold it all together. As I mentioned, the object of this first stage is to alter their gut acidity levels from the alkaline level, caused by the starches in the kibble, and make the transition easier and make their gut microbiome and their gut lining more acidic. Now it's time to slowly add more raw meat and slowly remove the kibble from their bowl. I recommend using a quality pre-made raw meal mix, as it will ensure your dog is getting enough vitamins and minerals, and it's just easy at this stage. Now, these frozen raw meals are readily available from your local pet store. I've listed some below that I would recommend. Day 1 of this second week, their bowl should look like this: 3/4 kibble and 1/4 of the cooked casserole mix. Take out another quarter of the kibble and replace it with the pre-made raw mix. The bowl should look like this: half kibble, 1/4 raw, and 1/4 cooked casserole mix. There we go. Feed this ratio for the next couple of days and check their poops to make sure they're firm. In 2 or 3 days' time, remove another quarter of the kibble and replace it with the pre-made meal mix. Now, your bowl should look like this. We'll remove another quarter of the kibble. And replace it with half of the meat. So now we've got a lovely ratio there. 1/4 kibble, 1/4 cooked vegetables, 1/2 of the raw meat mix. Now, here's where the timeline changes depending on how your individual dog is doing. Are his poops firm? Is he not being sick? Is he bright and happy? If you've answered yes to all of these, then you're doing really well, or the dog's doing really well, and you can continue to change the ratio of kibble and increase the amount of raw meat in his bowl until there's no more kibble left. Take this transition over about a week or so. If your dog has diarrhea, has been vomiting, or is eating grass, or just generally looks unwell, slow it right down. The idea is the same. You just need to make more of the switch, take the switch more gradually. Of course, if your dog is very unwell, take him to the vet. Now, the cooked casserole mix can be removed altogether now if you wish, but my recommendation is to leave it. Just make sure it's 50-50 meat to vegetable mix ratio, and it makes up or takes up no more than 1/4 of their daily meals. I feed my dogs this mix pretty much every single day, as it adds so many vitamins and minerals and nutrients not found in many pre-made raw mixes, and my dogs actually love it. If you've reached the end of week 2 or week 3 and you've removed all their kibble completely, now it's time to add some raw meaty bones. Start with simple things like chicken necks or chicken feet, or a chicken frame for larger dogs. Always supervise your dog when eating their bones, especially if they have not eaten them before. At the beginning, you might need to teach him how to actually chew them properly. After all, they are very different than those uniform little pellets he was used to eating. To do this, simply hold the neck or the foot in some paper towel. This helps the slip factor. Let him have a little chew, a little gnaw. Take it off him, give him lots of praise. Good boy, good chewing. And give him another little chew. Keep repeating this till he gets the idea not to swallow it whole. That's as easy as it can be. Don't stress. It does not matter how many weeks it takes to completely remove the kibble from their diets. Remember, slow and steady will win this race. If you're finally there after, say, even 4 or 8 weeks, you will need to introduce these raw meaty bones as well. Their gut microbiome and their acidity levels will be able to handle them without any upset. Now you may notice something that might alarm you. Don't panic. They will be drinking far less water than normal. Don't worry, a raw meat-based diet comprises around 75% moisture in comparison to a dry kibble, which contains less than 10% moisture. So, of course, they will drink far more after a bowl of kibble. The other major change you will notice is their poops will be far smaller and smell far less than before. This is because their body is processing and using almost all of the nutrients the raw meat will provide. Just one of the many benefits of a raw diet, in my opinion. In fact, I think it's one of the better ones. Well, there you have it, the easiest way to transition your dog's diet and avoiding that dreaded poonami. If you'd like to learn more about making your own dog's meals or adding different types of foods to their daily meals, check out our other videos on these topics.